behaviors. And the originality of this cryptocurrency is that it's not based on a proof of work, but a proof of behavior. So it's taking green mobility. In the second topic, I will talk about LCoin, a concept of a local coin, which introduces the principle of geographical demurrage. And with this, we are able to emphasize a local economy and to have more exchange between people.
Welcome to TALK.CYBERCNI.fr. Bienvenue.
Yeah. Welcome to the 37th edition of TALK.CYBERCNI, today with Pascal Lafourcade from the Université Auvergne in France. And Pascal will be talking about cryptocurrency innovations, EcoMobiCoin for Green Behavior, and LCoin for Local Economies. And before we come to Pascal, as you know, we also have the second screen and so on. So first of all, welcome, your monthly cybersecurity update, your cybersecurity information event. Share it with your friends. If you still have some friends that might be interested to join today, don't hesitate to tell them, because it's most fun if we're more people. And as always, we have the second screen. Let me briefly introduce that one. Let's here. Okay, so as second screen, as always, we have the Slido. As it's the 37th edition, you already thought what could be the hashtag, and the hashtag is Talk37. As always, join the second channel, because there you can not only ask questions, but you can also upvote and download existing questions. And therefore, if you want the discussion afterwards to be more into the direction where you're interested, this is the exactly right opportunity to do so. As always, the format will roughly be half of the time we'll have some presentation by Pascal about the two topics, and half of the time we'll have a discussion, so more or less. Okay, so that said, let's let me introduce Pascal. So I just switch screens so that you see the title again. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Pascal. So I know him for some years from the French cybersecurity research community, and it's always a pleasure to exchange with him. And Pascal obtained his PhD in the laboratory Alisphere at the INS Kashan on the verification of cryptographic protocols in presence of algebraic properties. Then he spent 1 year at the ETH in Zurich in David Bazin's group working on WSN. And after that, he was, during 7 years, maître de conférence at Verimac, developing automatic techniques for verifying cryptographic primitive security protocols. And now he holds an industrial chair at Clermont at the laboratory Limos. And Pascal is an associate professor at the Université d'Auvergne, Clermont, France. And he's member of the network and protocols team of the Limos laboratory. And he received his PhD in 2006 from INS Kashan, and he has carried out broad research in security and verification of cryptographic protocols. And all this gives him the perfect background to do the exciting research he will be talking to us about today. And without further ado, Pascal, I hand over to you, and we're looking forward to an exciting talk.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction, Marc-Olivier. It's a great pleasure to be with you. So today I will talk about blockchain, cryptocurrency, and I will present two recent results that we have done, which is EcoMobiCoin and LCoin. So this joint work with many of my colleagues, so Kevin, Paul-Marie, Ariane, Frédéric, and others. So let's start with the short presentation and recap about what we do, and we'll talk about money. So the money has been invented, according to economists, by Sumerians, 3,500 before Christ, where they use some tablet, like you can see here, where they are used to make some exchange of means, goods, to register that you have give something to somebody else. So what is the money according to economists? A general definition that you can find in a textbook. It's an intermediary and means of exchanging goods and services between individuals. So you can give something against something else, and can be done with some money. Is a reserve of value, because maybe if you have some apple you collect now, they will not be forever. So if you exchange against money, you can have some money for something else later. And it's a unit of account in order to make the total of money you receive and all the transactions you have done. You know many of these currencies around the world. So we have euro, dollar, yen, pesos, whatever, and many money exist around the world. And we are making many economic trades with this money. So what is the principle of possibility to have a digital currency? And the first idea was the idea of central bank. So you have a central bank that gives some money to Bob, and Bob wants to give some money to Alice. How does it work in an electronic world? The simplest idea is that Bob gives the money to Alice, and so Alice wants to use this money. But before using this, she needs to go to the central bank, give the coin, and receives new fresh coin. This is due to the fact that we want to avoid one fact is what we call duplication of money, because it's super easy to copy and paste some crypto money because they will be digital. And so you can have several copies of the same coin and use several times. In order to avoid that, the central bank will take a register and note who is spending which money to who. And if you come with usage already used coin, you cannot use them anymore. So this idea was proposed by David Shum in 1988 by DigiCat, which was a company that is started using electronic cash. So it preserves privacy, have the cryptographic money, but is a centralized system using a bank authority. At this time, it was a picture about the internet connection and the device we have. So you can see at this time, it was not like today. Today I have my cell phone, which is connected to internet. I have connection everywhere. You have a Wi-Fi in the coffee. You have Wi-Fi in the library. So you have a world where we are all connected. But at this time, no connection. You have physical phone, no internet developed so well. So it was difficult for this system to be broadly accepted. So today it's possible. So cryptocurrency has the property of the money, but we want extra property. Okay, so we want to respect the privacy. You have non-fungibility, so you cannot forge new coins, and you want to avoid double spending. So this is the property we want. So unforgeability will be done thanks to cryptography, thanks to signature. So forging a signature is difficult, and the real life it's difficult to forge notes and coins. Although you want. We can make a photocopy, a copy of your notes, but everyone will notice because many banks put some mechanism inside. In the euro coin, you have some filigrane, you have some, I don't know, different colors, special ink, special paper. So in cryptography world, this will be achieved by a signature, and we assume that the signature is perfectly secure. To avoid the double spending that we explained previously, we will have the mechanism of the central authority in the DigiCash system. And what we want to be able to identify the cheater and not be able to accuse for nothing someone who did nothing bad. So it's a presumption of innocence. So we want also privacy property. We will distinguish two property, weak anonymity and strong anonymity. Weak anonymity is you should not be able to identify who is buying one goods, and strong anonymity, you don't have even the traceability of the buyer. You don't know that the person X bought something in one shop and later in another shop. So this is what we call strong anonymity. So with all this, in 2009, Bitcoin appears, and it has been designed by Satoshi Nakamoto. So what is the principle of Bitcoin? Is a decentralized and distributed system. So it does not use a central authority. The authority does not exist, and everyone can be part of the authority. So this is a revolution. It took so many times to have been constructed. So now what we want, we have a distributed system because everyone has a copy of everything. And what is everything is a ledger, a distributed ledger where you have all the transactions between every participant. And this ledger is not only in the possession of the bank, no, it's in the possession of everyone. So you can download the blockchain, Bitcoin, and with some gigabytes, you have all the transactions from the beginning until now. This uses a public key infrastructure, so signature, public key, and it has by design with Bitcoin 21 billion of Bitcoins. So because it's distributed, then it's not, you cannot stop it. It's unstoppable. Why? Because if you want to stop it, you need to block all the people who have a copy of the register, which is not possible at all. So as soon as we have electricity and internet connection, you cannot stop the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, which is not the case with some other centralized coins where you can just go, stop the bank server, and you stop the money. So you cannot modify the past thanks to the blockchain mechanism. So all the blocks are linked together thanks to hash function. And so if you have a block, it will depend about all the previous one. So if you want to modify something in the past, you need to rewrite everything until the present, which is extremely costly and which it cannot be possible. It's why we say that it's unfalsifiable. So doing a transaction in Bitcoin is like writing with a permanent marker on a board where you put the transaction that you want to do. Is auditable because the blockchain is public. Everyone can check the amount of value you have on your account. So because he can track all the transactions that you have done, he can be able to determine if you have enough money to pay him or not on the blockchain. So now Bitcoin have some units, and the unit is the smallest thing is Satoshi, which is 1 after 8 0 after the comma, and 1 Bitcoin is a current state. So when I prepare my slide, it was 61,000 euro roughly. I didn't check this morning, but it has a large fluctuation. And this is a fluctuation over the year. So from 2009 to 2017, nothing happened. It was a few euros. And after you have a first bubble, and after you have a second bubble during the pandemic. So we can see there are a very high volatility, and now it's going up again. So it's very interesting financial product for economists. But we don't take care about this. We more focus on the functionality and how Bitcoins work to understand better what we can do with new cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin uses signature. So this is electronic signature. You take a message and you can sign it with your secret key, and with the public key, everyone can check the signature is correct. It will use also hash function. So it uses SHA-256 with collision resistance properties. So it's meaning that you cannot forge two values that has the same hash. It's a difficult problem. So with this, you are able to create an account. This is free and super easy to do. You just have to hash twice your public key, and everyone with this information can send you some money. Okay. Now we'll see how does it work. So how can I make a transaction? I want to give some Satoshi. Alice wants to give some Satoshi to Bob. What she is doing, she takes the public key of Bob, the Satoshi she has, and the previous block, the last block on the chain, make a hash function and sign everything with the signature to prove that she agrees to send the Satoshi to Bob. And this is a new transaction. With this new transaction is what we call UTXO. And this transaction is to be validated by a miner in the blockchain. So this is the goal of the Bitcoin, to validate all these transactions. Okay, how can Alice does this transaction? She needs to use a coin she has in her wallet, and she has several coins. And so she takes 2 coins here, a coin of 13 and 6 Bitcoin, and she wants to pay 18 to Alice. So she sends this, but the total is 19. So the rest is sent back to Alice if she wants, or it can be a fees for the miner. And actually, in Bitcoin, no, if you don't have any fees, your transaction will never be validated by the miner. So you need to pay the people to validate the transaction. For this, you need to give more money, and the excedent of money is fees and is given to the miner. So today, you need to put some fees in order to validate your transaction. Okay, one important remark, only Bitcoin own can be spent. You cannot spend Bitcoins if you don't have it on your wallet. So this is very important. So if you see that your wallet doesn't contain enough Bitcoin, then you cannot do any transaction. So now how to mine Bitcoin? This is what you need. So it's exactly like in the Far West. You need to dig, and you find a nugget, a golden nugget. So what you can do that, you can take some computer, powerful computer or dedicated material to mine. because it's very costly in terms of resources. And what this computer will do, they will compute hash functions, infinite number of hash functions. So to solve and to put in the blockchain a new transaction, what you need to do, you need to validate the transaction. And for doing that, you need to solve a hash target. Okay. And for this, if you succeed, you earn some Bitcoin. So you create new Bitcoin. You will create 50 Bitcoin for one validation at the beginning. And this amount of money is divided by 2 every 210,000 validations. And this makes the fact that if you make the sum of the series here, you have just a finite number of Bitcoin, which is 21 billion of Bitcoin. Okay. So now, how can I earn or create Bitcoin? By solving a hash target. So what is a hash target? Okay, a target here I took in February for this number of blocks here. The target is this number, and it starts with many, many zeros. And my goal, if I want to achieve this target, is to find a number such that if I take the transaction that I want to validate and this number, and I make a hash function twice here, the value is smaller than the target, this big number here. If I find a number n that has this property, I solve the hash target, and I will have a proof that I earned some money. And so this is how miners are mining some Bitcoin. And the simple strategy is to make a brute force strategy. So testing many, many ends, many different ends to do that. And this is why it's energy consumption, because it's consuming many energy to compute all this hash for all these numbers. Okay, so people don't want to mine alone. They are regrouped by farms for miners. So you see there are many farms, some in US, some in Japan, some in China, that are mining Bitcoins. And this is important to notice that there is a distribution of this powerful of research for hash function. So in Bitcoin, you have several properties. The first one is traceability. Because everything is public, you can know which account receive which amount of money. So one account can receive, for instance, I don't know, 5 Bitcoins, then spend 2 Bitcoin, and so. So you have a full list of transactions, so it's not anonymous. Okay, it's just pseudonymous because you can have several accounts. If you want to have anonymous money, you can go to Monero or Zcash, which are two variants which use Snark to make full anonymous transaction. The limitation of Bitcoin, it takes time. One block, so one set of validation of transaction are validated each 10 minutes. This is by design because the difficulty of the hash function, so the number of zero of the target you need to mine is changed each time in order to have an average computation time of 10 minutes. And second, the size of the transaction is 1 megabyte. So you have just a finite number of transactions each 10 minutes. So in order to go faster, there are Lightning Network, which is a way to do offline transaction and to validate time to time on the blockchain the transaction. Or you can go to Ethereum, which has a speed of validation of 12 seconds, which you have more possibility to validate. It takes many, many energy. And in order to avoid that, you can do also Lightning Network or go to Ethereum, which changed a few years ago to proof of stake and does not mine anymore, but have a proof of stake instead, which is a very, very less energy consumption. So this was the presentation of Bitcoin. Now I will jump to a small description of blockchain, which is the mechanism behind this Bitcoin. And after I will present EcoMobiCoin and LCoin for 2 contributions. So for blockchain, so what is a blockchain? This is a register which take this guy gives some goods to another guy, and this is the first register that we have in the history. Is a paper where you have a colon and the transaction, and this is exactly what the blockchain does. It has some registers that are linked each other, distributed, secure, and falsifiable. So this is the idea of blockchain. The main question is who is validating transaction? In Bitcoin, it's the people who are checking that you have enough money on your account, or they also check the fact that you have a wallet, and they are performing a proof And the proof of work is finding this number that has a good property. And these persons are able to write on this distributed ledger. Otherwise, you cannot write a transaction, and the transaction will never appear on the blockchain. So miner validate all the transaction and write on the blockchain. How the miner take decision? In the Bitcoin, the consensus is the first one who has enough power to solve the challenge. So this is possible. But in the literature, we have several types of blockchain. Public, like Bitcoin, everyone can mine, or you can have a private, where only people who are in the list of people who are able to write on the blockchain can write it. So they can do it alone, but they can do it with a consensus by voting, by saying the first one who's writing. If two persons agrees, everything is possible. And you have some hybrid mechanism where you have some people who can be public person who are mining and private people who have some privileges to mine maybe differently. So this is all the possibilities that you have in a blockchain. Some application, one application that I really enjoy is what's called at the beginning MIT diploma. And the MIT decided to put on the Bitcoin blockchain the diploma of their students. So it's meaning if I got a diploma of MIT, the MIT put a signed diploma with my name and maybe my grades on the Bitcoin, and I can put on my CV, I have a diploma of MIT, go to this block, and you can check that there is a signed document from the MIT. So this is a possibility to have a traceability and authenticity of different diplomas. We also develop with some of my colleagues verify your vote, DAppsters, a blockchain that is used to make a public bulletin board in a voting system. So this is what we have done a few years ago, and is a publication that you can find on my webpage. There is an also application that we designed with a company in Clermont. We designed Auctionity, who was a first place to have auction online using a blockchain. So you can also find a publication correlated to this protocol on my webpage. So now I want to talk about the two last publications I did on this topic, which is EcoMobiCoin and LCoin. So let's go for EcoMobiCoin. So what we have mobility, and you see that cars, trucks, planes are consuming more energy, producing more CO2 than train, buses, boat, motor, or walking, biking, and so on. So if you want to incentivize people to go in one direction and you choose some transportation instead of other one, we decided to see if we can design a EcoMobiCoin, a cryptocurrency for the mobility, green mobility. So what is the idea? If you are taking a bike, if you are walking, taking public transportation, subway, car sharing, and so on, you will make a proof of behavior. It's making a different paradigm. You will move and change the way you are moving. And this is this behavior that we want to incentivize with this cryptocurrency. So instead of doing a proof of work, it is finding a number which has some property. You will need to do a proof of behavior. So I need to have a proof of my mobility. So for this, you will have a proof of you have bought a ticket of bus, of subway. And with this proof, you can mine and participate to EcoMobiCoin. Okay. We also integrate in EcoMobiCoin a possibility of temporal demurrage. So the money will melt, and with this, your amount of money will change according to the time. Okay. We also put ephemeral behavior on the proof of behavior. So meaning if I did some bike or take some public transportation, it will be valid for 2 months, for instance. And after 2 months, I cannot choose anymore to participate to EcoMobiCoin. So I cannot use my mobility of 3 years ago to have new coins. No, it's not possible. We have a finite amount of time for each proof of behavior. So the same, we will prover will be reward according to what they've done. So if they have to do 2 kilometers or 100 kilometers of biking, is not the same. So we'll have a proportionality in the mobility and in the reward. So now what the verifier does the verifier, meaning the miner, will first require a proof of behavior. So the miner cannot stay at home, they need to move. They cannot just by some crypto hash mechanism. No, they don't need this, and they just need to move. And they can mine only if they have done a proof of behavior, so proof of nobility. What they are doing after, they check the transaction exactly as in Bitcoin, and check you have enough money to make the transaction you want. So the same. Okay, and check also the proof of behavior they are validating. They are not too old. And what they are doing for mining, they are playing lottery. In Bitcoin, it's a fact. Indeed, everyone need to print a lottery ticket. Okay, so in Bitcoin, I have many printers and I print many tickets of the lottery. And if I find one by chance that has a good property, I win the jackpot. Here it's different. What you are doing, you don't need to print, you need to do behavior. So each time you do a behavior, you have a ticket. So if you want to do many tickets, you need to do many behaviors. So many green mobility, which is better because it's exactly what we want to emphasize, this kind of mobility. And for this, with all your proof of behavior, you have ticket of a lottery, and we pick randomly one person in this lottery. And with this, we use a verifiable delay function. So this is something that has been, the concept has been introduced by Shamir, Rivers, and Wagner in 1996 with time lock puzzles. Has been improved by Lenstra, then Bonnet and Piestra. And we use Velowski efficient verifiable delay function published in Eurocrypt in 2019. How does it work? The idea is Alice wants to prove that, to Bob that y is equal x to the power 2 to power t. Okay, so for this, Bob pick a random large prime number. Alice find q and r such that is a division of 2 to power t according to the p here, so Euclidean division, and send the proof that she knows x to power q. Bob then compute r is 2 to power t mod L, and it accepts only if the proof of p times x power r is equal to y. And if you have this, then you have a proof that Alice knows this computation. So this is described in detail by the Benjamin paper at Eurocrypt. And what is interesting is that this computation cannot be parallelized. So if you want to do this computation, you will require only one core, and you cannot do on many cores. So it will occupy and will work many times only one core, and so you cannot parallelize. Okay. Of course, you can do a Fiat-Shamir transformation in order to have this verifiable delay function non-interactive. And this is what we have used. So with this, we are sure that people are doing an amount of time which depends of t here. Amount of time of computation. And the idea is the following. You have the proof of behavior is a seed which gives you the amount of time you need to work. And this computation time, when you end, if you end the first one, you win the lottery. So the faster win, but the faster it depends about the time you will spend to compute. So it's even better if you know that you have a big number, because your proof of behavior generates a big number by the hashing function. You say, okay, I will not use this proof of behavior to validate anything, because it will take too many times. So you can do only if you want, have a strategy to do it only if you have a fast computation time in order to win the competition. So how does it work? This is a general picture where you have a blockchain where you put some behavior and transaction in the pool. The miner takes some pool of behavior and proof of transaction, make the work, participate to the lottery, and one with the VDF is accepted and put on the blockchain. So here is another picture where you have the transaction on one side, the miner are doing some behavior, green mobility, you play the consensus, and you are able to write. This is a more thing. And here you have the website where we have some information, the paper, and a prototype that has been developed. So we have the prototype for this. So with Bitcoin, we go back to we have a proof of work which consumes many energy, and the consensus is done now by people who are talking and saying, okay, I'm doing some behavior, and the fastest one who can prove that I've done this behavior will be able to validate something. So this will conclude the first part about EcoMobiCoin. So we change the paradigm. In EcoMobiCoin, we have a proof of mobility, a proof of behavior, instead of proof of work or proof of stake in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So now I will move to LCoins. So what the idea of LCoins is, how can we use cryptography or blockchain to help local currency? So here is a local currency in Austria, in Wörgl, where people put a temporal demurrage. So it's meaning you have this shilling, we have the value of 1, but it decreases by 10 each time someone put a stamp on this note. And it decreases each month by 10% until it arrives to 0. So this is a temporal demurrage done a long time ago on physical devices. We think that it's possible to do temporal demurrage on cryptography and blockchain, like we proposed in the previous one. But is a temporal demurrage the good way to incentivize a local economy? We think we can do something else. We have seen that temporal demurrage has some effect. In France, we have a ticket restaurant, so we go from 1% of the value to 0. The demurrage is 100%. So if you don't spend your ticket, you lose everything. And it has an impact because people use it before the end and go to the restaurant. So this is super cool for people who have a restaurant. But we have also local currency. Many local currency in France, so I put many of them. So maybe according to where you live, you can have your own currency. So in Clermont-Ferrand, we have la Doum. In Toulouse, we have Sol Violet. In Grenoble, we have le Cairn. Close to Switzerland, we have le Léman, and so on. So many cryptocurrencies. And the idea is that this cryptocurrency is only accepted locally. So if I go with my Doom note, I cannot spend it in Paris or in Bordeaux because the people who are shops, they don't accept it. So we say, okay, why not? But it's not so good. We want to do something better. And why? If you think the local currency is to spend money and services for local people, the commerce, the people who are providing goods, the salaries, the services, and the users. So it's a circle. And we want to emphasize this. We look what exists here, and we have a Léman, which is the first local cryptocurrency. So they use a blockchain based on proof of work in order, which is called ComChain, which allow people to have traceability, but the proof of work is done only by 2 servers. So it's not a public proof of work, it's a private proof of work for working for the Léman, which is a good possibility to have a traceability and traceability of the account by the Léman. But we want to do better, and we had 2 ideas. The first idea is restricted area. We want to have proximity certificate, which will be delivered by an affiliated local shop. And for do that, we use distance bounding protocol to prove that we are at the same time at the same place. So I will prove with a shop that I'm close to the shop, and Alice will prove to she also close to this shop. So we are at the same location. And for this, we use distance bounding protocols. Many distance bounding protocols exist. So what is a distance bounding protocol? Is you use it in NFC payment with your credit card. Nowadays, after the COVID, many people use credit card with NFC, and it's based on this distance bounding. How does it do? A prover sends a message to the verifier, and the verifier replies. And the idea, why not put someone in the middle? And if these people is in the middle, it will take some time, because the time here, if you don't have the intruder, is smaller than the time if you have the intruder, because the intruder needs to relay information between the two. And so the idea is to use distance bounding protocols. The first one was designed by Bran and Sean long time ago. And many other protocols have been designed. So we can use distance bounding to prove that we are at the same place at the same time with Alice and Bob. The second idea is a geographic demurrage. What means geographic demurrage? If you take classical things, you have I don't know, department, region, area, and it's not fair. What we want to do, if you have a transaction in one place, we want to do 10 kilometers in any direction, it will decrease the value. And I go 20 kilometers later, it decreases again. And this is, we think, fair comparing to the previous, where the repartition of the geographic area is totally arbitrary and depending about history or I know, administrative issue. So for this, we have two possible combinations. Either you have a restricted area or geographic demurrage. And we have all the possible combinations. And I will describe all these combinations. So the simple is what has been done in Lemon, more or less, is no geographic demurrage and no restricted area. So you can use your coin everywhere as soon as the shop accepts them. So it's not very convenient and not useful. The second idea is restricted area. So proof of local expense with a proximity certificate and no geographic demurrage. This is a possibility, and we'll have a proof that you have spent some money at some place. The next term we call LCoin is no restricted area but geographic demurrage. If I receive the money at one point with a proof of attachment, thanks to the distance bonding and the timestamp, according where I receive the coin, I can spend it locally, and if I spend too far, I will have a demurrage about the value. Last point is what we call perfect, is a restricted area and geographic demurrage. So you need to have a proximity certificate given by affiliated shop using distance bonding. So, and the value will decrease according to the distance. So we have the possibility of everything according to what we want to put in place. So this is the last contribution we have done. It leads me to the conclusion. What we have done, we have changed the paradigm. In order to be proof of work, we spend proof of behavior. And we introduce geographical demurrage and proof of attachment for designing coins. Thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to answer your question. And here you have some books related to these topics that have been written.
Perfect. Sounds, let me just switch it off here. Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for the great talk. And we have lots of interesting questions. And what people are especially excited about is that you're able to create your own coin. And so you did so multiple times. And so therefore, let's start with that. So could you summarize again, if you want to create your own coin, what do you have to do? So how can I create my LCoin, my EcoMobiCoin? So what are the steps I have to do in order to create it so that it's available?
Okay, so you need to think if you want to create your coin or just clone an existing coin. If you want to use a coin like Bitcoin, you can take the source code of Bitcoin and change the name. This exists in many, many things. There are poker coin, gun coins, whatever, which is just a clone of Bitcoin. Okay? You can even imagine now to clone Ethereum, which is a proof of stake based thing. What is difficult is to design a new paradigm for a new consensus. So this requires more energy and to think what you want to do. My goal in the first one was to minimize energy consumption. And we spend just one core for an amount of time that we determine, which could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes to mine. But we cannot do a farm of mining. It does not make any sense. But you need to have many behavior to do that. So if you want to do a new interesting thing, you need to think about this way of mining. And this is very challenging, okay, in order to have a secure way of mining. Okay, this is super difficult, but super exciting. So you have the two parts. The other coin, which is about LCoin, the idea was how can I use what is existing to improve the functionality? And the functionality was to say, okay, the idea was the local demurrage. Or is it interesting to have temporal demurrage? Or it's better to have a local demurrage? And the idea was on this aspect. We wanted to have a local demurrage, which change, and which is indeed what you want. You want to spend your coin locally, because locally it will have some people who are employed, your friend, you put some energy and money in the economy. But if I have my money, my salary I receive here, and I spend, I don't know, in Paris or in Lille, maybe it's not for the local economy. So what you want with local currency is to have a locality, whatever you spend your money. So this was the idea, and we used technique from Bitcoin or whatever the coin you use, the proof. You can do it to different purposes. So you have two aspects. Either you want to change the consensus, or either you want to change the application of the coin.
Okay, super exciting. I just think in which direction I go first. So maybe as you are currently with the technicalities a bit, so can you talk a bit about pitfalls that you discovered? So which were problems you did not foresee that happened during the creation of such of the coins? Was it easier to create the second coin after you had to create the first coin? Do you have some lessons learned from the first creation for the second creation? Do you have some things to share about that?
Yeah, okay. So the first point is about how to say that. My fear was the fact that Bitcoin as stay is unstoppable. You cannot stop it. As soon as you have electricity and one computer is enough. Here, my fear was: is it possible if you change the proof of work by proof of behavior? How does it work? If nobody is doing biking or whatever, how does it work? So, and this was not so easy. And in order to avoid that, we had the chance to have a possibility to test by taking the log of one city, one French city. We have the log of people who are taking the bus in one city. And with this log, we were able to run for 1 month the EcoMobiCoin, and we succeed. It's meaning that the money didn't stop. We have enough transaction in one day, if you put a limit of 1 week, to have enough transaction and enough behavior, mobility behavior, in order to mine. So this was my fear at the beginning, that you have a money will stop because not enough behavior. And no, with this, it seems to be okay. After we had some problem in the development, but this is a practical issue and funny things when you are developing, but this is a classical thing in the project.
Sure. And now let's imagine you created the coin. How do you ensure its availability? And so this is a really concrete question. So do you put enough nodes? So I don't know, what is the minimum amount of nodes you need? Maybe 3. Do you put enough nodes so that even if nobody else is participating in the network, it's still surviving? What happens if there's not enough nodes and then suddenly it has to respawn? Is there concurrent streams of chains that can emerge if you create such a new coin? How do you prevent that from a practical point of view?
Yeah, this is what you need to determine. And for us, I think 1 is enough. As soon as there are 1 person, but you need to make some behavior. So you need to make some mobility, green mobility. If you want to FI this, you need to have some behaviors. And after, you need also to have transaction. But transaction is super easy, because in Bitcoin, you can do a transaction to yourself, and here you can do the same. So for transaction, we are safe. The point is about mobility of a new paradigm you want in a proof of behavior. But this is not so difficult, and we are safe on this point, I think.
Mm-hmm. And from a societal point of view, I mean, you're a computer scientist, so obviously you love doing things with computers, but would it also have been possible to do it with paper money? So this question goes more into the direction of a social movement of being suddenly able to create currency systems. As you are in the community, it's rather for getting to knowing a little bit about from you. Is there momentum? What did it unleash that with Bitcoin there was suddenly the democratic, in quotation marks, money, and that with Ethereum you could also do some interesting things, and now with your coins and with the local coins you showed, because these possibilities obviously were not there before, because you had the monopoly in minting and so on. And so even though you could create the vouchers as you showed, it had a different scale and also different starting invest. So can you talk a little bit about this community, this spirit, what is happening, and so on?
Okay, so for the moment, we just have a prototype. It's not yet launched, so you cannot use it. We have some contact, and we think that in the 2 next year, we maybe can start to do something. But this is the main problem. Who will accept it? And it's the same as Bitcoin. At the beginning, for Bitcoin, you had a map where the shops are accepting Bitcoin. And at the beginning, you have, 100, 1,000 shops on the world. So it's very difficult to spend your Bitcoin. So no, more and more places accept Bitcoin in the world, which is good, but we need to have this. And this is the same for any crypto money or any new money. You need to have place where people accept your money. And this is a practical issue in the economy. And there is two issues, and it's the same. If I go, I went to US last month, and I have my euros. I can do anything in my euro at the airport. I need to change the coins. Okay, so once I have dollar, I can buy anything I want. And this is the same. If the shop in the US can accept euros, I could have spent my euros. So if I arrive with my mobility, EcoMobility coin in US or in any other places, they don't accept them, I will be screwed. So this is the point. The point is we need to have some people who say, okay, I want to accept only EcoMobiCoin. And for this, people will support people who are doing a green mobility. And they say, okay, I accept this. Maybe half of the price, 20% of the price, or one good, maybe you can imagine, I design a new thing and I only accept EcoMobiCoin. So people who want that, they need to have EcoMobiCoin. And they will find a way to find an EcoMobiCoin, and this is how it will be started. And it's the same with Bitcoin. At one point, people want to have them, and so on and so on. So this is an economical thing. So I think we need to have this. So we are in contact with the university, maybe to make a prototype. We'll see what happens, and maybe it will be a great success. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Same for gun coins. Gun coins in the US is a coin that is used only to buy some gun, or poker coin to play poker, whatever. So you have a coin specialized to something. And we believe in this diversity of money that will identify what kind of goods or services you are paying or what you want to do. So you can imagine, I don't know, you have maybe you can take some income or taxes with EcoMobiCoin. It will be great if you have up to 20% of your income that you can pay with EcoMobiCoin. So it's meaning you have done some behavior and the government accept to be paid with this EcoMobiCoin. So it could be a possibility also. So we need to find a way. Maybe you can go to the library to rent a book. You can go to the swimming pool. You can go to the museum, whatever, and paying part of this with EcoMobiCoin or a different coin, because we can decline this with different behavior. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And is it also with your coins true that with more coins being mined, it becomes more difficult to get it? And what would that mean concretely for the proof of sports, fitness, or locality that you have? You have to be even more local, and you have to run double the amount in order to get the next coin?
Yeah, so for this, you have two points of view. In Bitcoin, you have a finite number of coins. In Ethereum, you have infinite number of coins. In your system, we can have two ways to limit it. Either you have a temporal demurrage. You say your coin is born today, and in 2 months, it decreases by 10% and so on. So it's meaning that if you don't use it, you lose it. So it will restrict the number of coins. We introduce also geographical demurrage. So if you spend later, further, you decrease. And so these values that are destroyed, you have several solutions. You can burn it. You can send it to a foundation that we can do something. So for instance, for the mobility, you can have a foundation that are constructing a cycling road, improving infrastructure, whatever. You can imagine for a library, a foundation to collect book or buy book, whatever. So everything is possible, and we need to build everything. And we have many years to do that, but it's a technical opportunity to change and to improve the system.
Mm-hmm. And so as you're the creator of the thing, what is the power of the creator? So what responsibility and what opportunities do you have as god of EcoMobiCoin and LCoin?
Okay, so the idea is that the source code is open, so everyone can read it. So if someone finds a bug, he can improve, say it, inform us, and we can modify it without no problem. So the responsibility is about to providing some code without too much bug. This is the first point, a functional code. And the second point is to provide a security proof that everything is working well. So there is not a flow and something like that. So we test several verifiable delay function. We use several primitive for cryptography and so on. So for the moment, it is not a post-quantum cryptographic stuff, but maybe if we want to develop it in the future, maybe we need to change. But this is super easy because like in Bitcoin, we just need to change the primitive. Instead of using a classical signature, we can just use the post-quantum signature. And now it's possible because the NIST say which one we need to use. So we can take one selected by the NIST and just change classical pre-quantum resistant signature primitive by the new post-quantum. So this is super easy to do. We need to do that, but it's not a big challenge.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm still a bit in the ecology economy world. So the demurrage you are talking about is a really fast one, because when we look at inflation mechanisms today, we might have maybe is it max of 6% in European countries or something like that. I mean, you should even be below 4, but so that means even though things decrease, they decrease much more gradually. And so what you were talking about was rather like 1 month, 1 year, which also makes sense and it's quite interesting. So is this also something that you're interested in? Do you have some insights on that? Did that playing with these parameters that was before a monopoly for the central banks and the countries, is that also helping developing better value exchange systems?
Okay, this is a great question. It's not super easy to answer. With one of my collaborators who designed with me LCoins and wrote some book with me, which she is an economist, we try to think about that. But for doing that, we need to make many simulations. And each time we do simulation, we face the problem about what is the human behavior behind. And for this, we can do some simulation. So we did it before the development of EcoMobiCoin for cycling. We take the average cycling person in the world when they are doing according to time zone, whatever. But it's super difficult to predict who will be cycling, when, and how they spend their coin, because it's not easy. And so each time we have some partial result. But we believe that the diversity of coins is important. Okay, to have many coins for doing everything. So maybe you can coin for coming from mobility. You can have another idea, which is what we want to develop maybe with the university, is a coin about education. The behavior is not to do biking or to do bus or public transportation, is to make some education. If you go to the university, you spend 1 hour in the lecture, you will get 1 educoin. If you go to 2 hours, you take 2 educoin. And after the year, you have, I know, many educoins. And who will accept them? We can imagine the university accept them for many activities or paying sport, whatever. And if you are a student, you will have EcoCoin. But you can say, okay, the bakery can say, okay, you can pay 10% of your bread with EduCoin because you are a student, you have 10% of EduCoin. And the bakery will collect some EduCoin. And after they can spend to several space. And so in a perfect world, you can imagine, I don't know, if you want to go for watching a movie, you need to have 5 EduCoin, 6 EcoMobiCoin, 3 other coin. And if you have this, you can enter to the movie. But this needs to make change in the mind and in the economy. And the diversity is not, I'm not collecting the money for the money. I'm collecting the money to incentivize people to do some behavior. And this is a new paradigm. And it takes time, but I don't know if the society is ready to make these changes, to support some, I don't know, cause, or I don't know how to say that, to support some important thing for people. And maybe the shop next door will sell the same product with a different price. And I want more EcoMobiCoin, more EduCoin, more other things. So the market and the price will change. And you need to collect many coins.
Mm-hmm. And so I really like this societal experiment or the philosophical thoughts behind it. To ask you a provocative question, so China has some social points if you behave well, and then the state is giving you some benefits for it, or it rather is not punishing you if you behave as the state wants. And your system is a bit more democratized, but it goes into the same direction in some sense. So do you have an answer to that, besides that it's more democratized and it's the idea is of course positive and so on, but the Chinese state will tell you the same for different incentives, obviously.
Yeah, okay, so our ID is different. The idea is, there is a carbon tax where if you make many pollution, you pay a tax. We want to change this paradigm. We want to reward people who are doing good behaviors. And this is a change of paradigm. No tax, I give you a reward if you do something good. This is the main idea of the change of behavior. Once you have done that, if you don't want to do something good, you will not collect this coin. It's not a problem. Maybe you don't need them. But if you need them, you need to do this behavior. So it's more by pleasure and by forcing people to do something we think is good. And there is not this kind of tax or this kind of sanction. No, we don't want this kind of things. This is a philosophy behind this new idea.
Mm-hmm. And so what I especially like, it's a little bit like when you were in first grade schools where you still had this book with the stickers, and once you did something well, you got a sticker, and it's a little bit like the more scaling and mature version of that. And,
exactly. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
If you have some behavior, you will collect some good points. But a commercial shop are doing that. If I buy many things in my supermarket, I collect some points, and after I go back and I have a gift or I have a discount, whatever. So we are used to this reward. Okay, I have a Fidelity card and I have some reward each week if I accept to share my data with them. They are calling the data and they give you a reward. So, and they emphasize and say, oh, you should buy more this stuff. You were used to do that. I have a discount of this because they know that I have bought this brand of whatever for 3 months and I stop for 2 months. They incentivize me by giving me a reward on these things.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, if I want, I go. If I don't want, I don't go. And if I don't go, I lose it. So there are 100% of demurrage. The validity, the reduction validity for the coupon they give to me is 2 weeks. If I don't do it for 2 weeks, I lost it.
Yeah, very good. And also you mentioned it because this was kind of the next question. So the payment of the people for these payback points is data. In your setting, the data is public. So
yeah, everything is public, so there is no possibility of data. But we can also use this, which was one of the first goals also. If I'm doing some behavior and I put my proof of mobility on the blockchain, I can go and say, okay, look, I'm a good citizen. I did 20 kilometers of biking per month. And you can go to see your insurance. Cool, look, I'm doing some sport. I have to do 20 kilometers. It's validated by everyone. I put the proof and validate on the blockchain. So due to that, you can have a reduction of for your insurance. You can have a proof that you have well doing something, and it can be used for different services, purposes that we need to create in the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Now regarding this proof of I did something. So can you elaborate a little bit more how you ensure that I was really running and I was not cheating the system, and also from the other point of view, what would be cheating possibilities in your system? And this is less about showing flaws in your system, but rather about general considerations when you create it and you have proof of X, which is not so easy to monitor, what you do as process.
Exactly. This is the point where it's very touchy, because if you can generate proof in your living room on your computer, you will have many coins. So the idea is we should provide a system where we have a verifiability and verification mechanism to prove that you have performed this behavior. And this is why we did at the beginning with the ticket buying. For the first stuff, we did, okay, we have all the proof of ticket in the bus. So we know that people have bought one ticket. So if you know that, you're fair. It took the bus. So this is okay. And he will do the behavior. So the other step, we try to do that. We had developed a mechanism for recording GPS traces in an anonymous way. And with these GPS traces, we can train artificial intelligence to classify if it's a walk, biking, train, plane, etc. We had a good result, but it's not still perfect. And for this, we need to have a validation of the device. So we need to have a validation about maybe your GPS or your phone that is signed by the phone, that you cannot forge a new one. And also what we want to do is to use the mechanism that we've developed in LCoin, which is a proof of attachment. It's meaning when I'm running, when I'm biking, whatever, I will cross maybe the police station. I will cross the city hall. I will cross the bakery. I will cross a shop, whatever. And all this guy will connect with you and prove that you have been there and give you a certificate of locality and a certificate that you have moved. And this certificate will be difficult to forge from in your living room because you need to have the signature of all these guys at the time where you passed. So this is some idea that we have in mind, and then we need to develop again in the future. But if you want to do for something else, I talk about EduCoin. This will be super easy because it's a professor who will sign it. And I'm doing it already. Each hour of lecture, I sign that this student is there or not. And I'm forced to do by my university. And so I do it already. So yeah, you have a kind of local verifier that checks the behavior of the student. And if one student is not there, I say he's not there, and he will not get his coin. And you can also reward the professor by signing, and you can get some coin, which is a positive cycle.
Definitely, and also for the always discussed thing of how can we incentivize reviews for journal papers and so on. It would also be good having such things. At the same time, this brings me into another direction, which is you talk about diversification. So you said there should be many different coins. In that direction, will we have something like the euro in the future where it says like, oh yeah, now I take 30 different coins and I create the mega coin where I reunite them? Is this something that we can expect or rather not?
Okay, this is very difficult. So one thing that is what is good and what is working for me is what happened in video games. You can have some coins, and so you give some dollars, euro, and you bet some coin for one video game. And this coin, you cannot change it. Okay, there is no convertibility. When I put 10 euro in my favorite video game, I can have a new skin, I can have a new helmet, a new gun, whatever you want, new tires if you're playing driving, whatever. But you cannot convert back to dollar or euros. And this is what we need to do. We need to have some coins that are maybe they don't have a convertibility, and this will maybe make things easier, I think. But this is super difficult to do because you cannot avoid the black market. Even for video game, people can buy. There is a kind of offline whatever. I give you something, you give me some cash, whatever. But this is a kind of small usage. But I think non-convertibility is good. It's not the case when you go to the casino because you can give back your money in dollar. But inside the casino, you are always using the casino coins. So I think, yes, this is what we need. And it's not easy to change the mind. But I'm confident that we can do something in the future.
Sure. And you're already doing it because and this is also why I find it so interesting asking these questions, because it's, for me, this is really a new maybe cultural techniques or something where you have a scaling mechanism for incentivizing certain things. And this is, I find it super fascinating.
It is. And for me, this is the revolution, the revolution of the blockchain. We
Yeah.
can do that because we have a register where everyone can write, and we have the traceability.
Yeah.
There is not a God. You ask me the question, oh, you are the God, you are the creator, you can do everything. No, I cannot do anything, because everyone is part of the game, and everyone is responsible of the good functionality and the working flow of the coin.
Yeah. And related to that, with Bitcoin, we see quite an independence now between the process of mining coins and the value of the coin.
Yeah.
And so with the demurrage, it would probably be easier because it would not be such a problem. So can you tell something about this linkage between the value of the mined coin and the mining process and the community?
Okay, so for Bitcoin is a bit special, because I think Bitcoin, for me, the value of Bitcoin will never go below the price of the electricity to mine, because the miner will never accept to sell their coin lower than the price they spend with the money. And so this is for me a good point, and makes the power of Bitcoin, because it's attached to something. And if you think what is important in life is energy, and energy is a source of everything. Source of mobility, a source of working, source of creativity, source of everything. And I think for Bitcoin, it will be difficult to go below this value now. At the beginning, it was not the case, because it was kind of experimental, whatever. But now it has been adopted and used. I think it will never go below the price of the electricity needed to mine. For mobility or whatever, we need to evaluate what is the cost, maybe. And with this, we maybe have a good value of the money, but it's not super easy to do that for the moment. And I didn't work in this direction yet.
Okay, cool. Then one thing you were talking about, which is also known, is the time per transaction. And is this how is this an issue for these more local or smaller coins, and how do you take this into consideration when designing such a coin?
Okay, this is a super interesting question. For the moment, we are in the prototype. We have put a limit on the size of the transaction, just by the fact that we need to do something concrete. When you need to do a prototype, you need to determine the size in megabyte of the field. So we put some. It was not an issue on the experiment we did, but this is a good question. Should we increase it or not? So for transaction, but here the point is that in Bitcoin, the issue is that because you have transaction fees, more you put transaction, more money you will have. But in your case, the reward is not based on the transaction, so you can accept as much as you want. So it's not a limit, because if you add more transaction, you not have more money. The point is about the proof of behavior. So by decorrelating the reward from the size of the transaction, we can have almost no limit on the transaction size. Okay, maybe 1 gigabyte is too much, but so this is the interesting part that we have done by splitting these two functionality of the coin. Validating the transaction and the reward. And in Bitcoin is linked. It's normal. It's the first one, and it's not perfect, but we can improve it. And it's a bit what Ethereum did in one way, by putting the gas for the smart contract, and the gas is decorrelated from the money, and the price of the gas is increasing a lot. So for me, it's an issue. You need to split the reward and the usage of the coin. And this is what we did.
Okay, cool. Can you, so there was this hype with the NFTs where some people were buying apes from a Bored Ape Yacht Club and stuff like that. For those who somehow missed it, could you put the relation to your work? So is it similar? Is it an NFT for activities that you created?
Okay, so what is NFT indeed? NFT is just a property act that is put on the blockchain and which is registered by a smart contract. For the moment in the prototype, we didn't put any smart contract mechanism in order to keep it simple. We could have also take the Ethereum mechanism for doing that. And if we are doing that, we can have NFT on our blockchain. But indeed, NFT is just a property act that the fact that I own this thing, which is stored on the blockchain. It could be stored on Ethereum, it could be stored on Bitcoin, it could be stored on our blockchain. So this is not a matter. So I think NFT is a concept more general than linked to one technology. Of course, you need a smart contract in order to automate, to make things smoother, but I'm not sure it's an issue. And after it's with the NFT, what is interesting and which is going in your direction, I think NFT who will survive, this is my personal point of view, is an NFT who are linked to the reality. So there are NFT with the linked to the reality, and this, I think they will survive. The NFT who are just immaterial, maybe they will not survive. But the one who are linked to the reality, it could be good. And you can imagine many artists who are doing NFT, but with real things. So the idea is the following: when you go to make a tattoo, okay, you ask the designer, and he will do a sketch, but the sketch is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. But when you do the tattoo, it's good the perfect drawing. And you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine some artists to make some sketch, and if you want it, you buy an NFT, and after you have the real painting, sculpture, whatever you want, that arrive at your home. And this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have the property title, you buy it, and if you buy it, you collect the physical things. And I think this is interesting. And why so rare? Maybe you know the football game where you can have a team of 5 and you buy some kind of panini cards,
Mm-hmm.
and you can exchange them and you can play some game. The value of this card depends about the real shape and performance of the players, and which make the game super exciting. And this, because it's linked to reality, I think it has more chance to survive in the NFT world.
Mm-hmm. And Damien Hirst was doing the opposite. He was creating the physical paintings. He was selling you the NFT, and then he was burning them. Okay, very good. So before we come to the general things again, let's maybe dive a bit into the research world. So with the series, one thing that I also love to do is to show people this is a specific field of cybersecurity, and people are doing something, and what are the skills that they need in order to do such research, such activity. And so the question to you would be, if I'm now an undergraduate student and I have to select my courses, so what would you recommend to prioritize? Rather math, rather statistics, rather logic, whatever?
Okay, so excellent question. It depends what you want to do, but for me, more you learn difficult thing in the school, better it is, because many things you can learn yourself. Okay. If I take example, my student always ask me which is the best programming language you need to learn. And say, look, if I look around, all the languages that I'm teaching or that I'm there, they were not existing when I was student. So you will learn all the time new languages, new things. But the theoretical point of view, the mathematical point of view, the cryptographic things are still there. You know, when I learn algebra, when I learn arithmetics, I'm still using this device, these tools. And these are not easy to learn by yourself. Okay, some people arrive, but I think it's difficult. So my advice is to learn the most difficult things, more theoretical things, where you need help of a professor. Because learning a new programming languages, I can do that. Okay, what is difficult is to design a new algorithms, to propose a new cryptographic primitive. And this requires for me knowledge, skills in mathematics, and also creativity. And the most important is creativity. you need really to have creativity, new ideas, and this is what we did. We think out of the box with change of behaviors. We need to out of the box with geographical demurrage. After, of course, we use technical stuff, and we need to understand the math. To make everything working, we use the verifiable delay function, which is very clever, has been invented by others, but we identify the math, we understand this is what we need. We need to adapt it. Okay, we can change, we prove, but this was perfect thing we were looking for. So we didn't design a new thing because it was perfect, but this is what this cryptographer did. Benjamin provide a new verifiable delay function based on, okay, I need to do that, how can I do that? And they use math to do that. So I think this is the most important. Learn things that are difficult at the school and theoretical, because after the rest is not, I don't say it's easy, but it could be done later on and it will change. Programming languages change all the time. Mathematical proof, they don't change. They will still be there in 20 years and it will be the same. So this is my advice for people who want to pick up lectures. And the last point, do something you enjoy. It's horrible to do something that you don't like, okay? I'm doing this because I don't like chemistry, I don't like physics, and I prefer mathematics, computer science, but I don't focus on the topic I don't like. So pick the things you like. And not everyone is done for everything. And we did people for doing cybersecurity network, physical cybersecurity, web security, whatever. We need everything in this world, and cybersecurity is a very important part of the world. So we need many resources.
Okay, very, very good. And easing a bit that do something that you like. Do you feel capable of telling some of the questions you're working on in a daily, in quotation mark basis? What are problems that you're looking at that people, so that people know a little bit? Okay, if I want to go into this distributed ledger research, these are things I would cope with on a frequent basis.
Okay, so these topics are very fast, there are many papers, many topics, many people working in this direction. So it's very interesting, but many people come with many different ideas. So you need to be aware what has been done. With my PhD student, we had an idea and say, okay, I want to do editable blockchain. I want to be in one way able to change the past. We were looking at it, we found 3 papers doing the same. Okay. So no, I wanted to do a different thing. I want to do a compactable blockchain, a retractable blockchain. And okay, we were looking, I had some idea. I said, okay, look, and we found in the literature people who are doing exactly what I wanted, using the same cryptographic brick I wanted. So yeah, this is super exciting. For me, you need to start with, I want this new functionality. How can I do this one? And when you have the new functionality, new creativity, new idea on one topic, you say, okay, I will dig in this direction. And I use everything I need. I go to look some math. Is it elliptic curve? Is it the lattice base? Is it classical crypto? Is it whatever? And with this, it's like solving a puzzle, I have a puzzle, I have a challenge, I want to achieve it. How can I do that? And I look around, and this is how I proceed for doing that. Okay. So with one of my PhD students, we are looking for electronic signature. We want to have this new functionality. Signature A, B, C, D does that, and that. Can we combine and do an extra feature? Yes, okay, put on the board, and after we design it. And it will be published in Cannes in few days. So this is how we are working in this direction. So this is, for me, the most important. What you want to do, And I've been working on these 2 questions of blockchain, because one friend of mine said to me, Bitcoin is too energy consumption. You should do something for decreasing it. Okay, I will do that. So I were thinking, and I changed the proof of work. The question is about the locality. Say, local currency needs help of cryptographer. Okay, good. I will look at it. And we have this paper about LCoin. So
yeah,
that's how it works.
Do you have some starting resources that you can recommend? Do you have some MOOCs, some books, some?
So we wrote some books about blockchain and NFT, and I wrote also some textbook about public infrastructure. So, and if you like the puzzles, I wrote 4 books about puzzles for learning cryptography or programming. You can find them on my webpage or any good library.
That's good. So you just have to search for Pascal and then you have everything.
Unfortunately, they are in French, and I ask a question. If someone knows an English editor, I will be happy to publish in English, but I were not able to find an editor. So if someone knows an editor, please drop me an email. I will be super happy to publish them. And many people ask me to have this in English, but I don't know any editor in English. So it will be a pleasure to do that.
Oh, that's good. Out of topic, but when writing a book, as you wrote so many books, what is the biggest, how do you start and what is the biggest challenge to finish it?
Okay, so for me, writing a book, because I didn't write a book alone, so it's to have a good team. So you need to have co-authors where you trust them, because it's very super energy consuming. You know, we spend night, weekend, weeks to polish it, and that's it. After, you need to have a good project, original ideas, and contact an editor, convince him. And once it's done, it's going super fast. Roughly, it's 1 year for one book. We have the idea. Once the editor say, okay, 1 year later, the book will be ready to send to the editor. So you need to send it, and there's many work about, you know, the difference between a book and a draft is the fact that you have a quality, editorial quality very, very high. You need to be super precise about everything, be careful, read 10 times each sentences to find the good work, the good word. It should be understandable, not too difficult, have the example. So it's very, very, very in the details. And it takes many times, but it's super exciting. And of course, you should know that you don't do that for money, because the author, they don't earn many money with the book. Except if you are Harry Potter,
yes.
Of course, otherwise it's not the money that move us to write the books. What my goal is that I want people learn something, and I transmit some idea in the book. So either in the puzzles, either in the textbook, either in the blockchain or NFT, I want people explain. In the blockchain or NFT books that I wrote, I don't say it's good or not. My goal is, okay, I explain to you how does it work. After you think what you think. It's good, it's bad, whatever. I explain you how the engine of your car works. You like it, you want to go in the car constructor, perfect. You don't like it, you say why, and that's it. So the idea is to increase the common knowledge of the people. This is really important for me, that people have knowledge, education, that can have, I don't know, good decision in their life, and say, okay, I don't like this, I don't want this due to that. And say, okay, no, you need to know how things works in order to say yes, I like or not, or I use it or not. This is really cool.
Which is good, because it's a very scientific approach, and so it's very nice. I like it.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe coming to the end, let's get back to the applications again. So as you are in the field of these distributed ledgers, can you say something about the coolest, weirdest, strangest applications that you have seen in your research career of the technology?
Okay, so for me, the application is when it solves something, which is cool when it solves something that does not exist. So the two work I presented solved something that didn't exist. We did another word about e-auction, which is more practical, technical, but this was not surprising. For voting, we put the blockchain at the good place. We put it for doing what is called bulletin board, which is write-only board, when you write the bulletin of each voters. And so we show by adapting an existing cryptographic voting scheme that this is possible. We face some difficulty due to scalability, but it could be possible, and if we distribute it correctly. And I think it's important to have the application goal and to see the usage. How can we do that, and who will use it at the end? And this is important. So sometimes it's not possible because we need some theoretical work. So we have some theoretical work that are not possible to have direct application now, but maybe one day they will come with some new application. You know, many things are like this. You know, For instance, if you take elliptic curves, many people were doing elliptic curves during the 20 last year, but they have been invented 40, 60 years ago by mathematicians. It's a nice object, theoretical object, and now they have application. The same for post-quantum cryptography, lattice or code-based. They have been invented 40, 50 years ago. And now they have a practical usage. So I think it's important to look at the progress on the theoretical point of view in order to see how you can apply, and if we need it, how can we apply to the new applications.
Very good, very good. So yeah, the time is already up. It was super exciting. It was a super cool presentation and also a super cool discussion, because as I always say to the people, I really love also the discussion part, because it enables really exploring a bit the personality, but also the different path that were obviously not included in the talk, because you can never include everything to the talk. So yeah, thanks a lot, Pascal. It was a great pleasure having you with us today. The next edition will be on the 27th of September. And on the 27th of September at 2 o'clock again, we'll have Valeria Loskry from the INRIA Lille. And she will talk about a different topic. She'll talk about security aspects in the evolved IoT edge cloud continuum paradigm. Tell your friends, subscribe to the website to get the news, subscribe to the channel, and join numerously. And with that, thanks again, Pascal. And for all the audience, we have the trailer of Valeria and the outro. See you at once.
Thank you very much.
The paradigm shift on IoT, the IoT edge cloud continuum. This paradigm shift is coming and happening with a profound change in terms of security landscape. And I will analyze these security aspects and the paramount importance of physical layer security in this context.
Cher CyberCNI, pôle d'excellence région Bretagne. Au revoir et à la prochaine.